Hey guys, this is David Wunderlich, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Feleipe Franks making reads. I know it bothered a lot of people during the game that Florida would get to the line early, but then stop, look at the sideline, and wait for the coaches to send in any checks or changes that they wanted to make. It really slowed the pace down, and I think the slow pace reminded people of the past coaching staff. However, I don't think they're doing it for no reason, because Feleipe Franks is still not always making the best reads at the line. So if we take a look at this play, this is from the first quarter. In this play, Feleipe Franks drops back to pass, and he tries to hit Hammond in the middle of the end zone. It ends up incomplete, but due to a defensive holding flag, they get to advance the ball anyway. So in this play, there are 3 vertical routes. Tyree Cleveland is going to do an up and out. Hammond does a post where he goes up and then goes towards the goal post. And Van Jefferson is going to go vertical up until about here, and then he stops. Meanwhile, you've got Jordan Scarlett in the backfield. He is going to be the safety valve. So that's what's going on this play. And Kentucky is showing its normal man coverage. Got a man on man, man on man, man on man, which means this single high safety is the key person. This is the first person that Feleipe Franks needs to read. He knows what the play is. He knows that Cleveland has a vertical route and Hammond has a vertical route. And this one guy, because of the spacing between these 2 routes, this safety can only help with one of them at a time. So it's always better to throw into single coverage than double coverage. So depending on which way this safety goes should tell Franks which side of the field to look for. So if we run it forward a little bit, look at the safety. He's dropping directly back. And he is in the middle of the field and is helping out and closes the window with Hammond. The safety just went directly back, and that meant that Hammond was going to be the one double covered by this corner and this safety. So Cleveland is the one who's going to get single coverage on the outside. As soon as Franks saw the safety go directly back, he should have thought about this side of the field. I don't know if Cleveland was open at all because we don't get another angle on this. This corner seems to do pretty good coverage on Cleveland. You can see he's staying with him pretty closely there. I don't think Franks would have had a much better opportunity to hit Cleveland than he did with Hammond. But if Franks is watching that side of the field, it's not only looking at this, but there's also, remember, Jordan Scarlett, his safety valve. If anyone is going to be covering Scarlett, it's going to be one of these 2 linebackers. And if we look at what those linebackers do, they take a step forward, but then they drop back. Both of them are dropping back, which means there is no one over here. Jordan Scarlett is wide open. So if Franks had been looking to the place where the single coverage was, he would have seen these 2 linebackers dropping back. He could have thought, oh man, my running back is going to be wide open. So I should just dump it off to him really quickly and let him get up the sideline, make some moves, break some tackles, get some yards. But instead, he tries to make the heroic play of throwing it into the middle, into the end zone, into double coverage. And this is something Dan Mullen talked about all offseason, how he wanted his quarterbacks to take the easy yards, don't be a hero. And here Franks tried to be a hero by ignoring the fact that the safety was going to be double covering Hammond and not trying to find the easier play. So here's what it looked like in real time. So that was the play. Here's the other play I want to highlight. It is in the 3rd quarter. It is 3rd down. This is the last play before the controversial missed field goal, quote unquote, and you can see that Kentucky is up by 2 scores. Florida lines up with 3 on this side, 2 stacked on this side. They're going to put Hammond in motion this way, and by putting Hammond in motion, that's going to help Feleipe Franks understand what the defense is doing. So if we go forward, you see Hammond goes in motion. Now let's see what the defense does in response. The defense brings the linebacker up, and this cornerback comes off. That should tell Franks, who, if you look at his head, he is looking this way, that there's going to be fairly soft coverage over here. Now on this play, Jefferson is going to be doing an up and out. He's doing a vertical, and he is the primary read because as soon as the play starts, Franks is going to look in that direction over at Jefferson. Now on this play, Kentucky has 2 deep safeties, and they have half of the field each. Franks knows what the play is, and if you just look at where the spacing of the skill position players are, there is only 1 pattern over here, and there are 4 over here, which means this safety, who has that side of the field, he's most likely going to help out with this, whereas this guy is going to come up and help over here. So Franks should be thinking, even though that Jefferson is his primary read, he should take a look at this safety. If he looks at all like he's going to be helping with Jefferson, he needs to look back over to this side of the field because Kentucky's playing off, it's fairly soft, somebody is probably going to get open, especially because this guy right here is a linebacker, and these two guys are receivers. There's a pretty good chance that this linebacker is going to end up on one of these two receivers. And if you can get a linebacker on a receiver, you want that mismatch every single time. So let's go ahead and watch this play in real time and see what happens. So Tony drops the ball at the end, but it doesn't matter because if you remember on this play there was a holding flag that ends up declined. And the hold comes right here as Franks is escaping the pocket. So here we are right at the snap, and let's see what Franks' head does. So he takes the snap, drops back, and he immediately looks left because Jefferson is their number one guy. And if we look at the safety, he has dropped back this way. Jefferson is doing this up and out. The safety is going to be helping, so that means there are going to be two guys on Jefferson, the safety and the corner. He should have seen the safety doing that and immediately thought, I need to look at the other side because somebody over there is probably going to be open. So let's see what those four guys are doing. Like I said, you've got receiver, this is tight end Morale Stevens, and Jordan Scarlett, the running back. The two bigger guys, he's going to do kind of a deeper cross. Jordan Scarlett, I think, is doing a deeper cross, but he's just mostly going to run out of the frame. This receiver right here is Kadarius Toney. He is going to do a crossing route right about here. This receiver, Josh Hammond, is going to wait a little bit, then come up and come behind him. And so what you have is Toney coming across, and Josh Hammond is going to come up and follow him. And if we run it forward, you can see that right here, this linebacker is covering Toney, and this defensive back is on Hammond. Now, if Franks had very quickly abandoned Jefferson because he saw the safety going that way, he might have had enough time to hit Toney right out of the break. And if he does that, I like Toney's chances at beating this linebacker because Toney is just amazing in the open field. If he wasn't able to get to Toney quickly, we can see that Hammond is also open directly out of his break. And so if he had been looking this way already, he could be hitting Hammond right now, and maybe Hammond isn't able to get upfield and get the first down, but he would get pretty close. And then it would be 4th and 1 or 2, and they have the option of going for it down 11, or at the very least, it's a closer field goal for your kicker. So let's watch Franks' head on this play. He's looking right, looking right, looking right. Kind of looks to the left, still looking right. And it's only now that he is looking to the left. Toney is already several steps out of his break, and Hammond is just starting to make his break. So if he reacts, he might still be able to hit Hammond, but it's probably too late to hit Toney over the middle because this linebacker is coming up. And as it turns out, this linebacker is going to come this way, and they probably would have made a Kadarius Toney sandwich. But Franks doesn't make the throw. He escapes the pocket. That puts his right tackle in a bad position. He ends up holding, and of course he scrambles out and throws it to Toney, who drops it. So these are two examples of why Florida doesn't trust Feleipe Franks to make the right reads at the line, because in these two situations where the coaches didn't send in any changes or reads, they just lined up and went, Franks didn't diagnose the play correctly from the start. And these weren't particularly difficult reads to make. It's just looking at the safety. Where does the safety go? And when the safety looks like he's going to double cover your primary read, you need to not still try to throw it into double coverage. Just give up on throwing it into double coverage and look to somebody else, because when the safety is helping on your primary read, that means he's not helping on someone else on the field. And until Feleipe Franks is able to make these reads faster, Florida is probably going to continue with this slow-paced stuff that we saw last year. I know that's not what Florida fans want to hear at this point in the season, but if letting Franks make the reads on his own isn't going to work, then they need to have the coaches who know this offense better than he does make those reads for him.